Wonderhussy here, out in the middle of nowhere, this time in northeastern Nevada, at the old ghost town of Metropolis. There's really not a ton of stuff left here in terms of ruins or foundations, but there's a couple of pretty significant ruins, and there's a couple of historical markers that tell you a little bit about the history of the town, which is actually a really interesting history. I knew nothing about this place when I got here. As usual, I didn't have time to do any research, but the nice thing about Metropolis is there's 4G, 5 bars, so I was actually able to read all about it, and I can share my knowledge with you. So this plaque that was placed here by the clampers kind of tells you a little bit about the town, that it was established in 1910 and even had a railroad spur built out to it in 1912. And the population got up to about 700 people. You can pause the video and read the whole sign yourself if you're interested. I actually read a few different web articles about this place, and actually I read the population got up to about 2,000 people, so I'm not sure which one's right. I guess there's varying opinions, but anyway, based on that, the stuff I read, and then this other monument here, we can kind of extrapolate a sort of a basic story of what happened here. This little gated-in enclosure is pretty cool. People take really good care of this ghost town, and you'll soon learn why. Look, here's another plaque that you can pause and read the whole thing if you want. But basically, from all the stuff that I was able to read, it was basically a town that was started by a company in New York that had this idea of creating a farming town out west in an area that is frankly really unsuitable for farming. I think it was meant to be a wheat farming town. So this friggin' New York company called the Pacific Reclamation Company came out here and gridded out all these streets, and it was actually a pretty fancy town the way they gridded it out. I mean, they had street lights, sidewalks, fire hydrants, they had a 3-story hotel and a recreation hall and a really fancy high school. I mean, this Pacific Reclamation Company had big plans for this town. But unfortunately, I guess as is the case in a lot of these Old West ghost towns, things proved much harder than people expected. I mean, I think this town was like 95% Mormon. I don't know if the Pacific Reclamation Company was a Mormon company or if the dream they were peddling was just something that Mormons were particularly susceptible to, because, you know, a lot of Mormons came west to start farms and irrigate arid deserts and make them bloom. So either way, the town was, majority Mormon. And they came out here to these lands that were promised to be super fertile and arable, and it turned out not to be the case. I mean, this is a desert up here. I mean, the Humboldt River does run by here, and then there's a bunch of creeks up, I guess, in the hills there that this Pacific Reclamation Company actually dammed up the creeks and created a whole irrigation system to irrigate the fields that they were selling to all these settlers. And so initially, yes, the land was arable, but guess what? There was already people farming downstream on the Humboldt River in Lovelock, Nevada. There was some pretty big ranchers there that filed suit against the Pacific Reclamation Company for basically cutting off their water supply, and they won. They won the lawsuit, and the dam that they built, which incidentally, the dam was made out of old bricks from the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. If you think about it, I guess there was a lot of loose brick laying around after that earthquake, and brick was valuable, so they toted it all the way out here to build the dam. Well, after the ranchers in Lovelock won the lawsuit, I think the dam was dismantled, and there was no more irrigation in Metropolis. Also, at the same time, there was like a multi-year drought going on, so the farms pretty much literally dried up, and most of the settlers left. But it wasn't just the drought that drove people out, I guess. So the town was founded in 1910, and people started trickling in over that decade. And I think by the 20s, one web article I read said there was 2,000 people living here in the 1920s. So I don't know what number it was, but there was a decent amount of people living here. But if it wasn't for the drought and the lack of water and the dam being dismantled, as if all that wasn't bad enough, they also had to contend with, I guess, a bunch of jackrabbits came in and ate all the crops one year. And then there was a typhoid epidemic because sanitation probably wasn't all that great. And then you may have noticed, if you stopped to read this entire plaque, that it also mentions Mormon crickets. Okay, if you don't know what Mormon crickets are, and I didn't either until yesterday, I found out because my sister and I are up here exploring and camping together, and we planned to camp out at a nearby hot spring that turned out to be infested with these huge, creepy, jumping cricket-like bugs. And when I say huge, I'm not exaggerating. They were the size of my pinky, which is 2 to 3 inches, big, nasty-looking crickets that apparently are kind of like locusts in that they just eat everything in their wake. So you can watch the video I made all about that. I talk about Mormon crickets a lot in that video. But basically they're a type of pest, like a locust, that come in and just devastate crops, which apparently is one of the other things that led to the demise of poor Metropolis. So drought, no irrigation, typhoid, rabbits, crickets. I mean, town dried up. But actually, I think the last graduating high school class was 1945. So there was actually people living out here until 1945. That archway in the distance there is the front entrance to the high school. And we'll go over there and check that out because it's a pretty impressive ruin. But first, let's start out here at this memorial plaque because it's got some really interesting stuff on top of it. I mean, I'm assuming this is all stuff people have found on the ground up here and collected and put up here as a sort of, I don't know, impromptu memorial to the town of Metropolis. Like a little bit of tile, which is pretty friggin' fancy for a 1910 town. I mean, looks like there's even there's a bunch of it there. Look at that. And then there's a piece of porcelain here that looks like it might be from a toilet, which maybe they did have indoor plumbing, which I don't know why they had a typhoid problem then. And then there's, that beautiful purple glass that we all love so much. Pieces of brick. Look at that. Oh, wow, look at that cool rusty old fork. How friggin' cool is that? And like some old china, some more beautiful glass. Oh, wow, look at this glass. It has chicken wire in it. It's like safety glass. And then this awesome old Pioneer boot. Okay, I don't know if that's really from the Pioneer days, but it's an old boot, and it's pretty friggin' cool. And then there's some other random stuff stuck up here, like this shotgun shell, and this little skull from some kind of little critter. And then, isn't that a Champion spark plug? Gosh, I don't know. Anyway, it's really interesting and really cool that people have scavenged around the grounds here and found all this cool stuff, and then were cool enough to actually leave it here for us to enjoy. So whoever you were that left all this stuff up here, especially whoever found the boot and the fork, kudos to you. July 1989, that's when this little foundation was poured for this monument. Faith in every footstep. Pioneers. I thought it was a business card, but it's actually it's laid into this concrete thing. Wow, cool. It must be some historical society or something. I guess part of the reason there's so much history here is because it was a Mormon town. And the Mormons, say what you will about the Mormons, they are really into history, especially pioneer history. So I got to give them a lot of props for that. They can keep their crickets, though. Okay, before we go looking at some of the ruins, there's also a trail register here. How cool is this? It's a little notebook where you can write your name and what you thought about the place. Like, look at this little kid, Olivia Aguirre from Sacramento. I loved it so much. I could stay here all day. Yeah, I pretty much feel the same. In fact, I'm going to have to sign this book before I leave. Really cool. You know I love stuff like that. Okay, but before I sign that guest book and leave, I got to go check out these ruins. And I got to be careful because my sister was walking around and saw a snake. I don't think it was a rattlesnake, but it was, still a good reminder that we are in the desert and there's all kind of creepy crawly stuff out here, not just Mormon crickets. So that being said, I put on boots and long pants. So I feel like I'm in pretty good shape to go check out these ruins. And these are actually, I'll be honest, coming here, I've heard about this place for a while, and I just thought, there's only 2 buildings left. What's the big deal? These ruins are pretty impressive. Check this out. I think this is the ruins of the hotel actually here. And what's really neat about it is, I mean, I guess that was a basement, but there's stairs here that you can actually go down to get down into the ruins. So I think we should do that. Okay, well, we just came down those stairs and now we're coming into the old basement of what I assume was the hotel. Wow. Okay, obviously a lot of people have been down here over the years, so there's probably not going to be any cool artifacts left, but there should be just enough interesting ruins and interesting graffiti to make exploring it worth our while. It kind of almost reminds me of the buildings in Riot Light in a way, in the sense that they were pretty grand, multi-story cement and brick buildings. I mean, look at that. Bricks are still there. I wonder if those bricks came from the San Francisco earthquake. Who can say? I like this graffiti though, look. Home on the Strange. That's the only home for me. See what's in here. It's like an old water heater. Huh? I guess if there was a graduating class in 1945, somebody had heated water here at some point. Interesting. Wow. Fancy hotel, hot water. I don't know what this central tower would have been. It's interesting that it's still standing and nothing else is. You know what I mean? Like, everything else is pretty much crumbled away except for this central piece. Huh. At first I thought it was like an elevator column, but it's only a 3-story hotel. Wow, that's a trip. Look at that. Wow, look at this busted old washing machine. Holy cow, look at it. That's a cool look. Oh my god, I love it. That's gotta be from like the 60s or 70s. General Electric, back when it was all made in the USA. Looks like it was part of a set here. Here's a fridge. Oh, I wonder if there's anything inside the fridge. We should try to open it. Oh, it's riddled with bullet holes. Shocker. Let's see if we can... Oh, it's real light. Oh, look inside. What's for dinner? Twigs and... Oh god, I can't even tell what that can was. Oh, look. 1 calorie diet. Isn't that tab? That little piece there is the only clue. 1 calorie. Some kind of diet drink. Diet Pepsi? Huh. Okay, wow, the ruins of this hotel were pretty cool, but I think we should go over and check out the ruins of the old high school, because that looks really neat. And I think they're pretty substantial ruins, too. Okay, wow, look at this friggin' archway. This was the entrance to the old high school, which, remember, this place had students until 1945. Oh, look, here's some more good graffiti. Welcome to paradise. I mean, I'm sure whoever wrote that meant it to be ironic, but for people like me, this kind of is paradise. Anyway, let's go up into this old high school and see if there's anything left at all. I mean, these are substantial ruins because you can see the basement level is pretty much open and available for exploring. And the, second floor, I guess, is also able to be walked on. And it looks like it's pretty solid because, look, you can see not only is there this kind of like steel cable, but there's also a lot of cement or caliche or whatever that is on top of it. So I think it should support a 95-pound weakling. Okay, well, there's really not much up on this upper floor aside from opportunities to slip through into the basement and break your neck. But there is this awesome friggin' view of that archway, which really frames my rig nicely. Look at that. I think I better take a photo. And while I'm at it, I might as well do a panorama of this amazing friggin' desert all around us. Look at this. I mean, remember, this was sold as arable agriculture land to farm wheat, of all things. I mean, it looks like it's more suited to growing sagebrush to me, but what do I know? Anyway, let's go downstairs and see what's down below. But I'm not going to jump down one of these holes. I'm going to take the civilized route. Look at this. Yikes. Down the stairs. So we'll go down here to the entrance. Like this was the foyer, I guess, back in the day. And then we'll turn here and go down the stairs into the, well, I guess what was the basement. Wow, look at this place. Holy cannoli. This is friggin' creepy down here, you guys. First of all, look. I don't know if there was even a floor below this, because there's a hole going down even farther, and it even almost looks like there were stairs going down to it. So I'm not sure if there was like a sub-basement or what, but either way, I am not crawling down in there, especially after what my sister said about snakes. I'm happy to just kind of poke around this level. And this is actually sketchy enough because look, the floor above did start collapsing. You can see it just kind of is resting there on that little bit of that wall. So, you know, conceivably, it could fall the rest of the way right now and squash me like a pancake. Yikes, I better get out of here quick. Let's move. Okay, this is rough going here, so we gotta be careful where we step. And we also gotta be careful of what we walk under because, like I said, some of these sections are really collapsing. I mean, despite the fact that this thing was really solidly constructed. I mean, look, there's that. I mean, look at that. I don't even know what you call that. It's not even braided steel cable. That's like some kind of weird twisty rebar stuff. But it bent under the weight of all that collapsed stuff. Yikes. Okay, now here is probably the coolest thing I've seen at this site so far. Check this out. I think it's like the old chalkboard from the school, or one of the old chalkboards. Look at that. I mean, why else would there be this weird green patch? You know? And it's flaking off in sections. So, gosh, I wish I had some chalk with me. It does feel like chalkboard material. What a trip. I'm just going to back up so you get the full effect. That's really creepy. Can you imagine, like, all the math problems that were written on there over the years? And all the people who looked at it in confusion and scratched their head trying to figure out what they were supposed to do. Man, that chalkboard is definitely one of the most evocative things I've ever seen in an abandoned building. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever been in an abandoned school before, but it's a pretty cool experience. Imagine all the kids. I mean, I think the school was built in like 1919 maybe, and went until 1945, so 26 years. 26 classes of people graduated from here. Isn't that crazy to think of all the memories that were made in this building? It's like you can almost hear the students laughing, flirting with each other, well, probably yelling at each other, bullying each other. You know what jerks high school kids can be. Let's not romanticize this too much. Oh yeah, look, speaking of bullying, still going on today. Alright, well, I don't want to spend too much time poking around these ruins because A, I don't want the ceiling to collapse on me, and B, there's a cemetery here I want to go check out as well before we leave. And, you know, it's getting to be that time of day where it's so beautiful, but that means daylight's fading fast, and my sister and I still have to go find our campsite before it gets dark. Okay, the last thing I want to check out before we leave this old school is look at this cool cross-section of the wall, these bricks. How cool is that? Really interesting. I didn't realize bricks had those hollow channels in them. Maybe if that's just how they used to make them back in the day, or is that still how they're made? Somebody will let me know. Okay, here's the cemetery. Looks like it was called Valley View Cemetery, established in 1916. But according to what I read online, these local rancher families that are descendants of the original settlers here are still buried here. Like there's some, and you can see looking around, there's some pretty new graves like Calton, Lois, Billy, and Howard, born in 26, 31, 35, or is that when they died? Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, the headstone looks pretty new. Oh no, look at this one. Our beloved son, Wesley Allen Hyde, born in 1960, died 1978. Only 18 years old. Oh my gosh. And then look, he's buried at the foot of his father, who died in 1977, a year prior. Oh no, I wonder what happened. Maybe after his dad died, he lost his mooring and started drinking and driving or something. Who can say? Oh, wow, look, this one's pretty old. Edna Beach, 1914 to 1920. Oh, no, she was only 6. Oh, no, how sad. Here's another old one. Frances Hutchinson. I barely can read it, but November 5th, 1907, died August 4th, 1921. Another kid. Oh, wait, 07 to 1921? Yeah, 14. So young. Okay, look at this woman. She's pretty cool. Little Grandma Maria Glass Ulig. Born in Germany in 1858, came to America in 1916. So she came over here when she was 58 years old. Wow, she came over here at 58. And her husband, look, her husband died in 1901. So she came over here after her husband died. She started a whole new life here in America and didn't die until 1941. Wow, what a woman. Look at her. Oh, she looks like she had stamina. Look at her. She looks like she had a sense of humor. I don't know if you can actually see. She even has like a kind of a gleam in her eye. That looks like one cool lady. I have a lot of respect for you, Maria Glass Ulig. Little Grandma. How cute. Okay, wow. I thoroughly enjoyed exploring this ghost town. Ugh. Way exceeded my expectations. Like I said, I was kind of, only a couple ruins. Man, it's not really quantity, it's quality. And this place has that in spades. And it's absolutely friggin' beautiful. I could spend at least another hour here taking photos, but guess what? There's a place even cooler than this up in the, up towards the mountains there that my sister and I are going to go try to camp at. So stay tuned for another video coming soon. Oh, wait, before I leave, I almost forgot to sign the guest book. Gotta let them know I was here. 7/16/19. Name, Wonderhussy. Address, YouTube.